Hello, everyone. My name is Thomas J. Lax, and I'm Associate Curator of Media and Performance Art here at the Museum of Modern Art. I'm thrilled to welcome you all to Modern Monday with Neïl Beloufa, organized on the occasion of his first New York solo museum exhibition, Projects 102, which opens March 12th and will be on view through June 12th. Before I begin, I'd like to thank my colleagues Laura Hopman and Peter Ely, who together oversee the project's exhibition series here at the museum, as well as Stuart Comer, the Chief Curator of Media and Performance Art, for their ongoing support. I'd also like to thank Howie and Steve, who are up in the booth helping us tonight. Neïl Beloufa is a French-Algerian artist who deftly combines moving images and sculptural forms to create architectural spaces in which his videos are projected. Beloufa has made 18 films to date and works between gallery installations and cinematic screenings, and in his work, he considers a variety of timely subjects, including the ubiquitous culture of surveillance, the 21st century persistence of social forms including colonialism, nationalism, and capitalism, and the utopic possibilities embedded in parties, games, and flirtation. His work often combines the documentary truth of ethnographic interview-style formats with popular fictionalized genres such as science fiction films, reality TV shows, and infomercials. He works collaboratively, teaming up with both actors and non-actors to generate his scripts. Likewise, he worked with a studio composed of friends, artists, neighbors to both make his installations and to edit his videos by hand, often using inexpensive construction materials and techniques. Tonight we'll have a chance to have a conversation, Neïl and I, in which you'll see some of those techniques on view. He'll join me in a minute, and together we'll kind of have a VJ moment, going through the last 15 years of his work, showing you clips, opening it up to questions from all of you, and then finishing with a US premiere of his work from 2014, Data for Desire. So thank you all for coming, and without further ado, I'd like to welcome Neïl Beloufa to the stage with me. So, Neïl, thank you for being here this evening. Neïl is in the middle of preparing for the installation. We were out at his studio last week, and the work is kind of brilliantly coming together. So I just want to say thank you for taking a break while many of the members of your team are out there finishing to get us to our March 12th date. So I think we wanted to begin this evening talking about one aspect of the way you work, looking at the video Who Still Is Behind Me that will be on view here at MoMA to talk about how it is that you use video projection inside of installation. Can you tell us a little bit about this video, Nice People?
Maybe we screen it, or we talk before screening. Oh.
As you like.
Yeah, I guess the easier way would be to just play and then.
People are beautiful here. They have a really good work-life balance. They go to work, but they don't just do anything that provides them money. They have a lot of passions in life, and they try to live their life based on what they like doing and spend time with people who they love being with. And that's what makes life so beautiful here, because the people like spending time with each other. They love what they do, and their life is full of colors.
There's a lot of different varying factors when you talk about best, because it's very subjective. How many places you can kayak in the morning, put your kayak away, go for a round of golf after that. After the round of golf, go down to the beach, lie in the sand, get some sun. After that, go home, get changed, have a shower, go for a quick bite on a patio somewhere, then go up to Gross Mountain, go skiing for the later afternoon. Once you finish skiing, come back home, have a power nap, get up, go out for a nice bite to eat on a patio and enjoy the views, and then go out and party at night. All in one day. I mean, that's lifestyle.
So, he was clear. No, basically I'm talking about the video. Yeah. No, it's a video where I asked people to defend their lifestyle and to argue of why it was the best on Earth, because it's shot in a place where the motto of the city is the best place to live on Earth. And half of the people were serious, like he's a real estate agent, so he believes it. But what interested me was that ideology, Western ideology, where love and business and all go together in a best lifestyle, modern, transparent society. And the way that thing is shown.
And this was made in 2011, has been shown in about half a dozen installations around the world.
Yeah. No, and basically since that thing talks about a neoliberal society full of yoga, or I don't know. What I tried to do for the installation is to create a system that looks like what their system of representation. So, and also I try to copy the way we hide standardization. So basically, I might have the same kickers as many people, but my color is different, so I'm different. And so I do the same installation over and over, but I try to make it unique. And using the same rules. So it's the same but different, which is a bit... And so...
Where's this, Neil, that we're looking at here?
Yeah. This is one iteration that was in Bregenz. And basically, yeah, it's supposed to look like a condo. Or an Apple DIY Apple hologram or something. And do reflections that looks like our screensavers that are named Bliss or something like that. And yeah, it's a...
Bring the good life home.
Yeah. And so in that game of reproducing, but unique because we are all original in this world, every iteration moves. So this one was more about a safe place, so it was wrapped. And yeah, and there are also the family size, or or the moving one for like that looks like a bus, I guess.
So for the one for MoMA, how did you go about deciding which scale to use?
No, but what interests me by that process is that each time I work with something, it becomes matter again, and then it can be recontextualized. You know, it's a bit not real what I'm saying, but it is like it makes echo to the place it is, and so no, it was a way to play with condo life and great expansion. So yeah,
and take the surroundings and
yeah.
embed it into the work itself.
Yeah.
Do you want to show this video of the work on a motor? When was the first time that you put this work on a motor?
It was for Taipei Biennale and Schinkel Pavilion. And so yeah, so basically we tried to make a bus out of it.
So in the space of the gallery, this basically is moving on a track back and forth, and there's a projector that's having the...
So basically it's programmed to go get element of the imagery. So in that society, because the video is only nice, and it becomes sci-fi slowly, so I tried to highlight those signs, which are fountains or beautiful bikes, and yeah, like all the yeah, that right.
Yeah. And the work that will be at MoMA will have an added component, which is CCTVs, right?
Yeah. So basically, since this work is programmed and starts to control itself, adding, like, we live in a society of self-control, and it's normal, and I like to put myself at the level of the things I live in. So we have security cameras connected to the piece that will remake the movie in live, 24/24, like a cartoon with filming sculptural elements around. It's not that, but it looks like that.
So basically, as there'll be 6 cameras inside of the installation, and as the various speakers say different words, the cameras will move to.
But yeah, and what interests me is that it adds a perverse layer to the work, which is it's funny, it looks like interactive, and it tracks people, and we all want to be self-eyed by those elements, which are at the same time a control element. And yeah.
So the thing that's kind of controlling you is a thing that also seduces you to want to be inside as a participant.
Yeah.
One question I have for you, Neil, is that we know within discourses in contemporary art, in relationship to surveillance, there's often a kind of desire to show or to make visible the things that are not visible. But in your work, you don't just show those things, but you also actually make the viewer implicated in them. They become not only part of it, but they also produce the forms of surveillance themselves in a way.
It's what interests me. I'm not gonna denunciate security systems. Actually, I would love to have one in my studio. And what interests me is more that like by doing that, people work for me for free in the show, like trying to be filmed the same way I work for Facebook for free, and then it becomes a whole loop. Like the image of the show becomes not the image we see or what I'm showing, but the whole system. And I like that idea of creating a system. And also, like, producing a movie 24/24 is a bit like where we live, like trying to produce image the more as possible. So it's kind of, yeah, how I.
Super. So this is a film called Kempinski, which you made when you were still in school in 2007, when you were just, 23 years old, yeah? Do you want to give people a sense of what the background for how you came to make it, traveling with your other students?
So I think I became artist because of that, because it was shown, and I actually for a long time I just shown that before someone let me show something else. But it's just I was sent with school as a class to make documentaries in Mali, and I wanted to be a rebel, so I didn't want to make a documentary and take from people. So I did a grammatical mistake in my subject, which was to talk about the future in present tense, and but they were happy with it. It wasn't rebellious, but I tried. And but so what it produces is like a vague science fiction that it's not science fiction, and I like this relationship where the neon lights becomes a laser sword, but it's a neon light, and they talk about cars that speak, but we already know cars that speak. And so yeah, it was a game on that, and also on my in-between position, being Western and non-Western. So I was talking to people there as Algerian when I knew I was showing the movie as French.
Do you want to give folks a kind of brief synopsis of your own upbringing, just in terms of your dual nationality?
I have 2 passports. And
Simple.
And one is good, one is bad, and basically I happened to be French when I wasn't supposed to be French, and but I'm super French and super Parisian, but I'm Algerian, so I don't have a double nationality. I'm in between in that sense that I don't have one parent. I have both parents from a place that didn't thought I would be French, but I was raised there, unfortunately, or fortunately for the.
Tout est magique, tout est simple, on vit comme dans le paradis, quoi. On n'a pas besoin de voiture ni d'avion pour se déplacer, on n'a pas besoin de moto aussi. On se déplace à travers la lumière, à travers le son, à travers les idées. Étant là, je peux me déplacer au pôle Nord en une fraction de seconde. Puis, quand j'ai envie de quelque chose, il me faut juste penser à la chose, ça vient directement. Si j'ai envie de manger du poulet, ça vient tout cru et puis je mange comme ça, sans me déplacer, sans rien faire. Puis, quand j'ai envie de faire l'amour, je pense directement à ma femme et puis elle aussi, elle pense à moi. Et puis, à travers la télépathie, on fait l'amour, c'est tout. Et puis, tout va vite, quoi. C'est comme une vitesse lumière, quoi. Les maisons se déplacent comme les humains. Aujourd'hui, je peux être à Calaban et puis demain, je peux être à Torokorobu avec ma maison, avec tout ce que je veux, avec mes matériaux. Les immeubles, on voit des immeubles comme des étoiles. Tu vois, les étoiles les immeubles sont superposés avec. On ne voit que la lumière. C'est pas comme le ciment ou je ne sais pas, des briques ou comme ça, on voit les immeubles sont sous forme de lumière. On pénètre, il n'y a pas une porte fixe là-dedans. Donc, on rentre par là où on veut, on sort. On sort aussi quand on veut et comme on veut, mais ça ne s'aperçoit pas, quoi.
Actuellement, nous disposons d'un centre spatial. Nous mettrons bientôt des fusées sur orbite. Nous devrons mettre des satellites, un certain nombre de satellites qui nous permettront d'avoir beaucoup plus d'informations sur les autres stations, que ce soit ou bien sur les autres astres.
l'énergie solaire. Donc l'énergie solaire, c'est quoi? C'est de l'énergie trouvée à partir du soleil, à partir de la source naturelle que Dieu nous a donnée, qui est le soleil.
Yeah, we got it.
Can we have the lights back up?
And so this thing was shown in a kind of booth, and I tried to play on the archaic, non-archaic. Basically, it's the most artificial wood, which is MDF. It's glued dust, but I try to make it look like nice and archaic, and that's something. Yeah.
In watching this video, Neil, there's a way that, having done it in 2007, it feels like it anticipates a lot of the kind of cliche of the speed at which we move that has kind of flattened out the difference between our time and the past and the future. What is it, as you see this now, almost 10 years later, what's your immediate thought about this work?
It's done. No, it's.
I guess in terms of its temporality, in terms of like what it means to look at it right now, does it like what now looking in kind of from this historical vantage point? Do you see it at all differently?
You mean? Oh, you mean as a meaning? Does it mean something now?
Yeah. Does it meaning shift?
What was already funny in it is that it was not temporarily working, since the buildings that mix with the light are already existing, especially here. And so what the vision of the future is always the same in a way, and it's not the future, but it's already here. So I guess for that part, it's not moving so much. But no,
No, I mean, as you describe that idea of the kind of future that's already here, there's something wildly utopic about that description, and also about this video. And I think that utopianism is something that is not necessarily always associated with Africa. I think that the kind of idea of futurity and utopia is kind of in many ways in contrast to the way that Africa is typically thought of as something in retrogression or backward. And I'm curious to you about the role of utopianism, because I think that there's obviously a darkness to a lot of your work, but there's also this, and a lot of work that's about the kind of banality of surveillance, but there's also this kind of hope or utopianism that I find in your work.
No, what interested me here was also to reverse the system of representation, like to say the future is here and not here, for sure. But and as for utopia, I'm mostly interested in how I think people tend to create what they want, like fiction. Like George Orwell made a manual, and so now I'm interested in how people represent themselves and asking what you want or what's your desire. Represent the society through a lie or fiction that is actually usually more relevant than a description of a dating website, or so that's the kind of loop that interests me about but it's more about how you want to be looking or what you want for society than what society is, because I don't really know. I don't know. I don't think I am answering. No.
I guess in terms of your way of working, the folks that you worked with here were all non-actors, yeah? And after you began working with non-actors, you kind of shifted to begin working with more professional actors. In terms of what you're describing about the kind of space of everydayness as a kind of fiction, what shifted as you began to work with with actors?
I mean, it happened 3 times on 18, the actor thing. But no, but at one point, working with people, human beings, is more interesting because you don't know, and then it becomes an authority fight of me trying to make something and them trying to make what they want, because there is that kind of fake freedom. Like, I'm controlling, but I'm giving the keys. And that situation of power, because is interesting to me. And yeah, it's interesting to me because that's also, it includes me in what I'm talking about in the work itself, or when I criticize a happy society of capitalism. So I'm included in the system because I'm trying to manipulate people that know I am manipulating them, but they knew it. So it's as for actors, it's all about, sometimes I try to change the system because then it becomes a craft and it becomes communication because I start to control, and so it's more about me killing me than, yeah.
Which maybe is a good transition to talking about world domination, which is a work that, from its title, we can assume deals with these things in a kind of hyperbolic way.
Yeah. So it's my most violent and racist work. So it's a project from 2012, and I'm gonna play before saying how it worked. Okay, I'm playing randomly.
Train de perdre de la productivité parce qu'il passe beaucoup de temps dans les transports et ces temps-là, ils devraient le passer au travail. L'Asie, les Asiatiques, ils nous ont envahis. On a beaucoup d'Asiatiques qui représentent une main-d'œuvre moins chère que la main-d'œuvre de nos citoyens.
On a signé un contrat depuis des années, c'est un contrat des 50 ans, pour exporter les gaz. Et là, c'est un problématique puisqu'on l'exporte et on en manque. Aujourd'hui, on ne peut pas vivre nulle part sans gaz qui fabrique l'électricité, etc. Donc, c'est vrai que si on va aller vers la rupture de ces contrats aujourd'hui, ça permet à notre pays de vivre mieux.
On sait que la guerre est polémique, ouais. Mais la guerre est pragmatique. Il faut absolument attaquer l'Asie. On attaque, on dit...
I'm gonna cut it because I didn't start by the beginning. But basically I did a street casting of people from continents. Normally the image, my computer is not happy with me today, so it does weird images. But I did street casting of people from various continents. So there are like Latinos, and then Africans and Europeans and North Americans and Asians. And all those people come from different countries, and I asked them to define a serious problem in their country, like housing crisis or the right of abortion or anything. But then I asked them to solve it through declaring war to someone else and arguing on how making war would solve their own problem, and which is a system that we see often, and which display ideology rise. But this is a moment they are switching towards war. But I click back. You want the real problem or the war? Yeah. Sorry.
Une dévaluation permanente que nous ne pouvons pas adopter. Avec leur banque centrale, ils font marcher la planche à billets plus naturellement, ça a tendance à baisser le taux. Et par rapport à notre taux de monnaie, nous sommes naturellement supérieurs à leur taux propre. Ça nous affaiblit considérablement, puisque l'industrie et tout ce qui concerne l'exportation est peut-être favorisé, mais malheureusement, nous importons beaucoup trop. Ce qui engendre des déficits importants.
Les entreprises pourraient employer beaucoup plus de monde. Le problème principal, c'est qu'il y a pas mal de chômeurs. Il y a des gens qualifiés dans la rue qui ne trouvent pas d'emploi. Si tu veux maintenir les taxes que toutes les entreprises doivent payer aujourd'hui, et si les entreprises veulent employer quelqu'un, tous les coûts annexes les écrasent.
Je voudrais attirer votre attention sur un problème de santé publique, à savoir que 60% de la population est touchée par un problème d'obésité qui a des répercussions économiques avec l'assurance maladie et qui, du coup, induit une perte d'argent sur les budgets de la santé de ce pays. Les pays d'Amérique du Sud, et notamment d'Amérique centrale, détiennent beaucoup de champs de cornfields, des champs de blé.
Je dis beaucoup de choses. Tu peux faire passer beaucoup de lois qui ne sont pas très sociales parce que c'est l'effort de guerre qui justifie beaucoup de choses. Donc la nation va se resserrer autour du combat contre l'ennemi.
La solution que je propose, le recours à la force vis-à-vis de ces pays asiatiques. C'est par rapport à cette situation que nous pourrions effectivement recréer une situation dynamique dans nos pays.
Maintenant, il y a moins de demandes de fabrication de iPod, d'ordinateurs, d'Occidental. Donc, on a des taux de chômeurs jusqu'à 60%, surtout pour les jeunes, entre les 18 ans et 20 ans. En même temps, étant que nous sommes un bon gouvernement, on ne peut pas tuer notre citoyen, ça c'est sûr. Donc pour moi, il n'y a que une solution. Ça veut dire qu'on a trop de personnes. Donc on va attaquer les États-Unis. Parce que, comme tout le monde savait bien, les États-Unis, c'est plus fort que nous. Donc comme ça, la plupart des jeunes vont mourir dans la guerre. Comme ça, on a plus de problèmes de chômeurs.
D'accord.
Donc ça sera mieux. Ouais, ça c'est la seule solution. On peut pas faire mieux.
On va déplacer une partie de notre population à l'Amérique du Sud. Comme ça, eux, ils auront un grand besoin de construction, de logement par rapport à chez nous. Donc les grands architectes stars, ils vont être attirés beaucoup plus en Amérique latine au lieu de chez nous.
It's super long, but and so basically I made them speak in French, like I did a kind of imperial gesture. I forced them to speak not in their language. I let them just at the end speak in their language, but so the same way Blockbusters makes foreigner speaks in English in a weird way so we can take them seriously. I wanted to have that kind of violent imperial. Yeah.
Something that this work demonstrates really emphatically, but is in a lot of your work, is in this moment of, where technology and various forms of economic models imagine the world to be something that's flattened and where national and geopolitical boundaries are non-existent, according to a kind of neoliberal model. Your work kind of looks at and sends up, it ironizes the role of the state, which is something that we might associate with a moment before the internet. And this work kind of, very emphatically performs the kind of the role of nationalism in our culture today. Is that something that is kind of an intent on your part, Neil, in relationship to the kind of critique that you're making?
the situation when it was shot was the crisis. So everyone
2012.
like post, and it was a darkish, and everyone had political ideas in bars, and to change the world, and actually, and violent ideologies were rising. Actually, it's even worse, I guess, or even stronger now. And no, so I did a game. I didn't chose where I didn't know where it would go. I just wanted to copy Margaret Thatcher and the Malouine or many recent stuff and see how it produces a discourse. But what was funny is that stuff were reflecting full time, like
what was happening outside.
Yeah, like for yeah. But it wasn't an intent to like it's. I mean, the game was about continents, but not. I wasn't thinking so much.
So you set the rules of engagement, but the discourses that emerged were things that were from all of the participants.
Yeah. I mean, I pushed them, and it's again a game of power because sometimes they felt guilty after saying something, but then also it was enjoyable for everyone. It was really weird shooting because we were laughing at horrible things, and we had them in our mind super easily. So it's yeah.
Can we talk about the work that you're currently making simultaneous to this, Occidental, which will give us a sense of some of your own working process and your own space of shooting and producing work. We had a chance to first meet, I guess now a year and a half ago, and I came to your studio outside of Paris in Villejuif, and you were kind of in the process of making this. So this is in your studio space that you physically fabricated this set.
Yeah. So the 2 last years, we transformed the studio into a hotel, a fake one to shoot a film, and then we shot the film.
Can we go back to the image of the hotel?
Okay.
Because all of the second floor that you see here, that's all usable. So you can come up to the second floor and stand on it. Can you just talk about who built it with you, what your relationship is like to the place in which you've been working for the last?
No, but yeah,
years?
it's no, I actually didn't screw anything here, and no, and I work with friends or people that wants to work or come by and help and live, and some are artists, some are something else, and yeah, and but we are a lot, and which allows us to make hotels, and this project was it was on the side. It's the only project that is for nothing. It wasn't asked or financed, and it wasn't made to be shown. So we did it on the side of the actual projects, and so it took a long time. And then we shot. We wanted to make independently a kind of popular feature object, and so we took us a year to build, and then we shot the film.
Can you talk about architecture in your work? Because clearly there are many references within this hotel, the Occidental, to the kind of role of architecture within the colonial project. And all of your work kind of creates these architectures or marks a relationship to a larger architectural style. So just in terms of building this, what were some of your own references and your thinking process and strategy?
No, what interested me is like many resorts of the Great West are named after the West, like Best Western or Continental or Occidental, and it's kind of violent to go, I think, in Mexico and have something called Best Western, and but those are dying now also because of Airbnb or the New West maybe, and so there is kind of an old show off that falls and that is linked to various architectures, which interests me as a sign of a time and sign of tourism colonization, which I find quite romantic in a way, and so that's what we wanted to play here, and to be a bit shittily brutalist and yeah, and
And how does this figure into the narrative? Because the film that you're working on is a feature-length film, right? It's something that people can come and have a cinematic viewing experience that has a kind of arc to it, and you know, characters and kind of narrative thrust. What's the plot that this backdrop sets up?
so what I wanted to have is to do it's called Occidental, like the hotel is called Occidental, and it was about ideologies that we live in, and to set a fiction with various identities, like with people from there or from there, with all the geopolitics or mainstream political subjects that we have, but to all put them in a fake place, in a set, and then to have a fiction that is without moral, that doesn't clearly go somewhere, but.
And it opens up with an image of a poster of Paris, kind of askew, or at least the last cut that I saw, and you know, kind of the hotel up in flames. So can you talk a little bit about that political narrative or context for what it is to have that image kind of begin the narrative?
It's also the image and the discourse that we have every day. Like if you go on TV and you switch channels, and you get the representation of the place you are in, and so you have a moment of gay marriage story, and then problem with Arab, and then problem with Paris on fire, and then problem with like articles about where the word Occident comes back, and it's new, and then you have, but what happens is that the project dates to like 10 years ago, and I tried to shoot it even before Kempinski, and I failed. So it's like a revenge.
Was it at all inspired by the 2005 riots in France?
No, it was
even before that.
I don't know the date exact, but it's like I had no clue why, but I tried. And I can show stills of the stuff, and then what happened is that we had to empty the studio to shoot the film, so we had to find another studio to make art, and so yeah. So we made an exhibit. Yeah, so that's images of a film, but it's not. It's yeah. No, and then because it was empty, then we had an empty hotel and studio, and so we made a show in it, and we tried to transform, like to reverse again the system, to have this fake hotel becoming a self-critique of him being built in suburb. And so we organized a show with every people that came through, which became a bit about us being the bad guys as gentrifier of the place we were in. And yeah, it was a perverse movement where it was a big opening, and then people were drinking in a fake film set, but not knowing if the art was real or if it was, I don't know. It was a global image.
And the reaction to some of your neighbors had to that, was there anything?
They didn't care. And yeah.
So we're going to open it up to some questions from all of you before we screen Data for Desire. Danielle Jackson, who has been working very closely with Neil and me on every aspect of tonight and this exhibition, will be coming around to take questions from the audience. I guess that's a question for... I guess that's one option. Neil, what do you think? Would you prefer to wait until after? I think maybe not, well... Okay, we can take questions after the film. The film is 50 minutes, and so hope to see you in 50 minutes. Unless anybody would like to ask, it feels like they would like to ask a question now. Okay, so we'll screen. Is there anything you want to say before we screen the film, Neil?
Good luck. And
My name's Carly.